All right, what's going on, everyone? I'm Zero, and welcome back to Zero Two, where today Konami decided to release a new format. Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis format was just announced, and I wanted to give a quick video going over what Genesis format is and what is so exciting about it. So for starters, what is Genesis format? It's a format with no link monsters or pendulum monsters, but every other card in the game is legal. That includes ban cards. There is no more Forbidden and Limited list. There is now a new, and we can see here at the bottom, a points list that you use to build your decks with. So no links and no pendulums as blanket, and that's going to be something that's hard to remember because I've been doing a lot of cooking since this was announced in my head of just like different decks I could play, and then I remember, oh no, it needs link monsters, or oh no, it needs pendulum monsters, like Malice, Salamangreat, even something like a Lunalite still really wants its pendulum or link monsters, and those are just unplayable without any of them. But well, maybe Lunalite isn't. But to construct your deck, you need to build a deck that has no more than 100 points worth of cards. And as it mentions here, most cards in the game are worth 0 points. So if it's not on this list, which I'll give you is really, really long, and we're not going to go over all of it today, then you can put them in your deck for free. They don't cost any points, but that counts your entire main deck, extra deck, and side deck for that 100-point total. Technically, events can be run with any point cap. They could be 0 points. My guess is you'll probably want to go lower since the format is really balanced around this 100-point cap. There are some really degenerate cards that are now legal at 100 points. You can play one copy of them, but locking you out of other cards at that cost is probably the main balancing factor beyond that. So be careful with running tournaments at a higher point cap. But lower point caps could be really interesting because taking cards off the list completely from this list just makes the format even more restrictive and potentially more interesting for lower powered decks. But looking down here, we can see that Konami has put almost every meta relevant card in the past 7, 8 years on here in some respect, I would say. I mean, you've got stuff like all the barrier statues being 60 points each. So you can only play one barrier statue in your deck. And if you do, that takes up 6/10 of your total point totals, meaning you can't play a playset of Ash Blossom, who would take 15 points per copy, meaning it's 45 points. I should mention these are all per copy. So just because Arcana Force the World is 100 points, that doesn't mean you get to play 3 the World. You can only play 1 the World, and that's your entire point cap. Most of these 100-point cards are on like Degenerate Floodgates, like Eschatos, Protoss, Abyss Dweller. But even some like less degenerate ones, Konami really had their eyes on. Something like "And the Band Played On" is like a technical floodgate, but no one really has played it outside of a few niche formats. But I like that they're really paying attention to stuff like that. But then they just go and hit like almost every deck you can think of. Like Blackwing gets some hits on some cards you can play. Labyrinth gets some hits on some cards you can play. And so it sort of functions like a mix between like the Duel Links ban list and like something kind of new, because with the Duel Links ban list, you had to think about playing cards in combination with each other, and this is very similar in that like if you play 3 Magnemite, you can no longer play Druis Worm anymore, or Saronir, or any of the Bestials. If you play Big Welcome Labyrinth, 3 of that, then you're locked out of, I believe, Welcome Labyrinth. So choosing some balance of these traps for Labyrinth if you want to make that work. And then a lot alongside a lot of generic cards. So again, stuff like ban cards like Pot of Greed are now legal at 30 points. You could play 3 Pot of Greed in your deck, but that's 90 of your points, meaning you couldn't play even a singular copy of something like an Ash Blossom or Impermanence, because that's so points. And so I think this format is really going to be tons of creative deck building. People are going to have to get creative because if you look at something like the Kashtira suite, you can play Fenrir and Unicorn, but you can only play a grand total of 3 of each of these. And if you choose to play either of these, you can't play a Rise Heart. Bosses for the deck. So maybe Kashtira is dead. Maybe you could just play like a Fenrir Unicorn control package, but you'd have to choose which ones you play. You can play insanely broken band cards like Last Will or Lavolval Chain, but you can only play one, and if you choose to play them, you can't play any of the generic hand traps or that might otherwise you might otherwise want or need in the deck. So I've had no time to test. I've done no testing. I don't know what looks strong yet. I mean, I think initial thoughts are like Lunalite seems particularly strong with minimal hits on this list. Yes, you lose something like Tiger and Wolf, but you can still make a Liger Dancer within, which in like a simplified format is really hard to out. Something like Eldritch might be quite strong because there are no Eldritch or Eldlixir hits on this, which that's a somewhat recent deck that used to top events, and it going untouched might make it good enough to see play. But losing a lot of degenerate floodgates was a lot of the ways that Eldritch won games. So maybe you can't play Eldritch. It's just not good enough. I don't know. I'm just really excited about the potential of this format. I think that this format has a lot of interesting stuff to go along with it. Now, what are they doing to support this format? If we go ahead and go to their blog post, this post here, we can see that they're planning on adding it into YCS level events. So YCS Anaheim will be the first opportunity to play these Genesys Invitationals. The bad news with these is that you have to run or at least play in one of the Saturday mini tournaments. Hopefully, these will be run all day Saturday. So if you scrub out of the main event, you can at least go and play the Genesys event and then have a chance to play on the Sunday Invitational. But if you are committing to and playing for a top or day two in the Sunday or in the main event, probably won't be able to compete in the Genesys Invitational. That being said, the biggest announcement is that they're going to have a Genesys format only YCS, or maybe not only, but where the main event itself is Genesys format. So this is not some small format like Time Wizard or Part of the Underdog where they announced it as like an idea and then really didn't support it. Konami is actively planning on full YCS level events in this new format. So it is going to be a large alternative format, something like uh, I don't know, but modern versus Commander versus other stuff in Magic. Like this is going to be a big level format that a lot of people are. I don't know if I will be posting any specific content related to Genesys yet. It's so new; I've had no idea on like what I want to do with this. I might post deck list ideas, or maybe when I do regular TCG lists, I can also make like a secondary addendums for if you want to build this in Genesys. Here's how you would play it. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see something like that, if that would be fun for you all, or if you'd want to see that. But yeah, I think the craziest stuff is like all these banned cards are now free, and you can technically play them in your decks, which is nuts. I mean, Pot of Greed, you can literally play 3 copies. Other big hits are stuff like Graceful Charity, now 40 points. You can play 2 copies of that in your deck and still have 20 points for non-engine. Some cards that I think are like high value for their points that I've noted at the moment. Stuff like Effect Veiler is only 7 points, so it's 21 for a playset. It's not like trivial, but it's pretty good. Same thing with Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird is only 7 points. So these are some lower value hand traps. Purge, if your deck can play Purge, is only 10 points. Not horrendous, but like something like an Impulse is 30 points. So that's going to be almost all of your budget. Probably not worth it. Ghost Ogre is 5 points. Really nice. Unfortunately for me, it's actually Dimension Shifter is a Dimension Shifter is 5 points. So if your deck can afford to not play with the graveyard, only 15 points to play a playset of Shifter. That is well worth it, in my opinion. But like Dimension Fusion's unbanned. That card's crazy. Summon back. It's Soul Charge from the Banishment Zone, basically free. Speaking of which, Soul Charge is legal. Well, we're talking about it. And it is at 50 points. So probably not playing 2 because that takes up all your non-engine space, but 1 Soul Charge is not bad. For 50 points, like you still have half of your point allotment to source to your remaining deck slots. But this format is going to be really interesting. No links and no pendulums means that decks that we thought have been traditionally quite strong will be weaker than we might think. And really, this is such an untapped format. I mean, we just got this points list today. No one's had time to do any testing or so. Let me know down in the comments what you all think will be the best decks. Let me know down in the comments if you're excited for this format, if you hate it, if you What are your thoughts on Genesis format, and what do you see this going forward for the future? I'm personally super excited about it. It's a format that I'll definitely be experimenting with. I still am really happy with the state that the TCG is in right now. I'm really having fun with that format, so definitely not going anywhere in terms of my TCG content. But like I said, expect to potentially some Genesis content in the future because this is really. But with that, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.